نحن هلا رح نبدا الجزء الثالث من ورشتنا لليوم. لو سمحتوا، اكيد بهذا الوضع بما انه عنوان الجلسه هي التعليم في حالات الطوارئ، بيخطر على بالنا كثير اسئله. ممكن لماذا تزداد اهميه التعليم خصوصا في حالات الطوارئ؟ ما هو النهج الدولي في هذا المجال؟ وأيضاً ما هي التجربة الإقليمية في هذا المجال؟ هذه الأسئلة الثلاثة رح يجيب عليها المتحدث الرئيسي بجلستنا السيد جابرييل الخيلي، أخصائي برامج التعليم في الطوارئ. لو سمحتوا، أستاذ جابرييل الخيلي استلم عدة مناصب بالأوتشا، يونسكو، وحالياً مع الأونروا. رح نستمع لخبرة السيد جابرييل الخيلي، أخصائي برامج التعليم في الطوارئ. أهلا وسهلا، بنرحب بالأستاذ جابرييل الخيلي.
My session will be divided in, let's say, 3 or 4 main aspects. The first one is to answer the issue of why education is so important in times of conflicts and disasters. The second aspect will be tackling the issue of the global approaches concerning education in emergencies, and not only. The third part will be highlighting the issue of relief and development and the dynamics between the two approaches. This is very, very important. And I think if our session or our meeting here will have an added value, it is here that we need to dig, and it is here that we need to dialogue. Because as a matter of fact, education is not only development or relief. The issue is like how to bridge the gaps between relief and development in time of emergencies. The final point that I would like also to contribute with is the UNRWA as an example in responding to the emergency, education in emergency. So that's like the main aspect of my intervention. Now, if you have questions, I think it will be very important that we have them at the end, because my problem is like I have a long presentation with a very, very short time, and this is also a part of the challenge. So now, let's first maybe tackle and talk about the definition of education in emergency. Oftentimes, when we are talking about emergency in general or education in emergency in particular, we are oftentimes talking about a short response. We are oftentimes talking about refugees, and we are oftentimes talking about conflicts. As a matter of fact, the education in emergency context is more complex than that. As you can see here, the phases, the scope goes from preparedness to response to proacted to return and reintegration to reconstruction and then development. You see, it is not black and white. It is not that short, very short term response. We are talking about a scope that is huge. And it's very important for us, educationalists, to think in a global manner. Education in emergency is not only about refugees, because it is true that in our region, MENA region, the major problem is conflicts, but the issue is more than that. The issue is the safety in schools, is about disaster risk reduction, and so on and so on. So it's not only about refugees, it's also about IDPs, النازحين بالعربي. It's also about returnees, العائدين. It's also about host communities or non-immigrant and so on. It is, as I said, conflict for sure, but it's also natural disasters, complex situations, and development. So as you can, this is, I think, the very good start to define a little bit the aspects of education of emergency. So education of emergency is not only the short-time response for a conflict, is broader than that. And let's now talk a little bit about some baseline, how does education emergency look like in the world in general. So as per today, we have 28 conflicts, armed conflicts in the world. We have more than 10 million refugees. We have also more than 33 million IDPs. And when it comes to our region, mainly with regard to the Syria crisis, you can see here that in the MENA region, that is from Morocco to Bahrain, we have around 9.1 million, refugees or IDPs. With Syria, that is 43% of the whole displacement in the 2013. So our region is an emergency region per se. So we need to think primarily about the quality education. I would like to reiterate this word quality, because oftentimes when we are talking about education in emergency, we are talking about everything but not quality. We mean that quality should be always there. It is not because there is a crisis that we should deprive our kids from the quality of education. There is no reason whatsoever. Oftentimes we are thinking, well, maybe because of the funding, but that's not an excuse. So quality should be in the center of our interest. Now, with regard to the disasters, which is another aspect of education in emergency or emergency in general, this is a very, very serious issue. Ladies and gentlemen, for the simple reason that our Arab region in general and your region in particular, it is a disaster-prone region. You know, for example, Lebanon or Beirut is in the edge of the two, earth parts. That one is the Asia and the other one is Europe. Anytime a disaster can hit. The same for Palestine. The same for Jordan and for Syria. So disasters are not that mirage which is a far. Disasters need to be thought from now. You need to think of quality education in terms of the concept of safety in schools, and how you think from now of contingency planning, preparing, planning, policies, all these things. And it's before all, the disaster issues are an issues of economy. These are the figures that can tell you what is the tremendous, impact on disasters. This is worldwide, by the way. So this is just to remind us maybe about that there are some issues that we need to think of when we are thinking about education in emergency. So why education in emergency is so important? Why it is so important? Well, because the conflicts and disasters, first, because the conflicts and disasters are not given the priority. You know, we will see a little bit later that education in emergency is given a very, very, very thin part of the pie of a humanitarian. And because it's not given a priority, all the money is not going to education. And we, as a network, we need to advocate for the priority of education and quality education in emergency. The second thing is, like, the whole world has admitted that conflicts and disasters are barriers to reach the education for all, mainly the goals of education for all by 2015, and the MDGs also goals. The other part, which is also very important, is like most of the kids that are affected or that are out of school children, they are kids that are in conflict areas. So that is why education is so important. And after all, education is a right. We have moved from the charity thinking in humanitarian work to more accountability and the right based approach. So when we are thinking about education in emergency, we are thinking about a right. We are not giving gifts to those kids from Syria or from another part of the world. We are thinking in terms of rights. They are their rights. Well, this is only to remind you about something that you already know. I mean, you know for sure that education is a right. You know for sure that education is a protection issue. You know it is a psychosocial support issue. You know it is a gender. You know it is life skill messages and sustainability. And after all, a lot of researches have proved that the communities are asking for education in emergency. So it's not something that we are inventing. It is something that we need to deal with because it is a need. It is a gap that is identified. Nevertheless, oftentimes when we are thinking about education, especially in our الوطن العربي, in Arab countries, we are thinking in education as the brightest thing that if you go to school, you might reach a social promotion. Now, the research and the experiences from the world show something else. It is true that education is a social promotion. It's a tolerance. It's dealing in a very good way with history, like with the supporting economy and so on. But education also might have a negative face, which could be a mean to disfigure the reality. It could be also, education could be also a mean to repress people. Education could also mean stop people from going ahead, you know. And I am very, very happy that MENIT has taken these two concepts. One, education in emergency, and the other one is innovation. And I think the combination is very, very good thing. So why education is in emergency is so important? Well, for the simple reason that it is both life-saving and life-sustaining. That's a reason why we need to think seriously about education in emergency. I told you that questions might be at the end, but if you have something very burning, anyway, I prefer that we take a question at the end. Now, I moved from the first part of the definition and the outline in education in emergency to the more coordination issue. Because education in emergency is one thing, the coordination is something else. And we need to think, when we are thinking about education in emergency, we need also to think about this response, how it is, how the structure is. What does that mean? So let me just put it this way. The coordination mechanism, why humanitarian reform is so important, because humanitarian reform until recently was a kind of jungle, you know? It was like a lot of actors are working, but there were no there is no coordination. So the United Nations and the United Nations and non-United Nations agencies has came with a reform. The reform, it is called the education cluster. The reason why I am going to go a little bit deeper into the education cluster reform, because it is very important. In the beginning, everyone was doing whatever he wants, and everyone was doing whatever she likes. Now, the concept, as I said, of humanitarian response and education emergency have moved from charity to more accountability. And that is why United Nations and the humanitarian family has created mechanisms to deliver education in a very efficient manner, and in order that the people will be accountable. We are all accountable, ladies and gentlemen, so we need to think of this. So the education cluster is one of the mechanisms. The Global Alliance for Disaster Risk Reduction is another mechanism that is globally coordinating education in emergency. The Global Coalition to Protect Education from Attack is another one. And the INE, International Network for Education in Emergency, is also a network that is coordinating the response and the substance of education of emergency. In two words, if I may, the pillar of humanitarian reform is the education cluster, or the cluster. The cluster is to ensure predictable, fast and flexible funding. It is also about coordination, and it is also about quality. So as you can see here, these are like the main aspects of the reform. Now, with regard to our work, there are some people who are working among us who are working at least in 3 coordination mechanisms. One could be the education cluster, one could be the education working groups, and the other one could be education sector coordination. Education cluster is for humanitarian. Education working groups, oftentimes it's humanitarian, but some countries do not accept the word cluster. And the third is for development. Education sector coordination is for development. So these are like the 3 major forum where education emergency coordination is taking place. Now, I would like also to talk a little bit about INE. Is there anyone knowing INE here? Can you raise your hands? Okay. It's like asking the Christian about the Bible. Samir. Now, I'm joking. But education is in emergency is, as you can see here, الشبكة المشتركة لوكالة التعليم في حالة الطوارئ. It says what it is, as a matter of fact. Now, this شبكة مشتركة, it is an open network like MENIT, but it is global. It is global. Sorry? INE is open to organizations, to persons, individuals like us, to Ministry of Education, to donors, to whoever is interested in the education in emergency. As you can see here, you have the website where you can go and see what they have a huge number of resources, be it the minimum standards, but also 16 other tools. 16 other tools that are more like concrete tools. So they are dealing mainly with the education conflict sensitive. They have a lot of training in this website so that you can ship in as organization MENIT or as individuals in this. It is not only global normative concepts, it is also tools that you can use on a daily basis. Now, with regard to the development, this is emergency, right? Now, this is development. As I said, education is also coordinated through development coordination mechanism, and one of them is MDTF, you know? So it is multi-donor, it is a multi-donor trust fund, and it is oftentimes donors, technical agencies, Ministry of Education are gathering together in a development setting, not always in emergency, in development setting to deal with education. So that's also why I am putting this here, because you will see later it is very important that we, while dealing with education in emergency, we need always to think of what is happening in development. Otherwise, we will miss a gap. Now, these are other mechanisms that are coordinating in a way or another education. So you have the education for all global coordination. All of you are aware of that, right? You have also another organization which is Global Partnership for Education. Now, I am going fast, or it's fine? Do you hear me? Yeah? Okay. Now, Global Partnership for Education is very, very important for our work and for our gathering here. Why? because while it is a development kind of partnership, it is also looking into entry points in education in emergency. For example, you have a situation of fragility, like Yemen before the crisis. Let's take this example. Now, a global partnership has, for example, allocated $100 million there. But they have also allocated some funds for education in emergency. Because, for example, fragility analysis, for example, needs assessment, all this could be a joint between emergency or education in emergency and fragility and development. So that is why it is very important to think always across the frontiers. Now, this is only an example of what's going on with regard to education in emergency, mainly with regard to the funding, which is always a huge problem. Now, if you can see here that the humanitarian funding in general, when, for example, in a country, this is like the average, in a country, we ask the international community for 100 million, they give us only 38 million. Now, from that 38, we got only 2% to education. You see, this is very serious. And we altogether need to advocate for more funds. Because if we do not have funds, how the Ministry of Education of Lebanon or Jordan can deal with the Syrians? It is impossible with this. We need to advocate for more. And I think, well, I am not talking about this because this is also very, very important and very dangerous because a lot of money is going to military spending. But I think this is not our case here. Now, I talked about education emergency, and then I moved to the mechanisms of education emergency. I would like now to talk about the issue of how to bridge the gap between relief and development in education. Now, why I am asking this question here? It should be a reason why I put this question here. Do you know why? Can anyone answer me why this topic is very important today? Can anyone? Maria Paradis. Oh, come on. Now, for the simple reason that oftentimes humanitarian response, when it is in a developing country, العالم الثالث يعني الدول المتخلفة, the problem for donors is not there. نامية اسمحوا لي. يا أخي كلنا متخلفين. نامية معذرة. When there is a crisis in developing countries, for the donors, the problem is not there. They got money, it is for humanitarian to give it there. Now, with a sitting in the Middle East, mainly Lebanon and Jordan, which are considered as middle-income countries, there are a lot of questions about, will a donor fund a middle-income country to respond to humanitarian? And that's why it is very, very important to start thinking of this. Despite the fact that humanitarian relief operations and development have different visions, lately, in this region, we are moving from humanitarian response per se to more a kind of fusion between humanitarian and development. This, we are calling it resilience approach. Okay? These things, you may get them from my presentation. I don't want to spend more time, but just to let you know that this is like the classic response. This is the new response regarding a humanitarian. So we are moving from humanitarian response per se to more a global, a more interactive response, you know? So where humanitarian and development are seen as one. With regard to the Syria crisis, as you know, from 2011 until last year, we were talking about the Syria Regional Response Plan, the famous RRP6, or the famous RRP. We stopped at RRP6. But okay, that was clear. That was a humanitarian response that has a money for humanitarian, which could be from 6 months to 1 year. But now things are moving. We are moving from this scheme to this scheme. What does that mean? It means that we are moving from a normal humanitarian to something we call 3 RPs, which is a regional refugee and resilience plan. Now, follow with me very carefully. You can see here that this is a humanitarian response. And this is development. And as you can see here, they are trying to integrate them as one. And this is very important. Now, I go back to my first question. What is education in emergency? Is it only humanitarian? Or is it something that will bring us from humanitarian to development? I think the answer is clear. No organization, no Ministry of Education wants to stuck to humanitarian context. Everyone aims to long-term development, and that is why also we need to contribute as a MENIT to this dynamic. Okay? Any question? Let's. Any question, because we are coming now to UNRWA comprehensive response to the crisis, because that's also very important to share with you how an organization did prepare their vision and their action plan to respond to the reality. Because we have moved from the general concepts to the coordination to the regional. Now we will give a specific example among others, of course. You have UNHCR, you have UNICEF, you have Save the Children, you have NRC, you have UNESCO. All these organizations are contributing to the response. UNRWA is also contributing, and that's. But let's please, do you have any question about what I was saying, both in terms of definition or coordination?
Excuse me. Could you just highlight on the procedures to transform from a humanitarian perspective to development, practical procedures?
You need, ya habibi, to go to UNDP. Now, it is a very interesting. Just for your information, this presentation was 60 slides, and I reduced it to around 25 to 30, because there is no space for that. Now, anyone is interested in the process, I can give him or her documents about that. But in 2 words, as you said, we have moved from humanitarian to resilience, and it is a long process. What does that mean in reality? It means that UNICEF, UNHCR, OCHA, and all UNESCO, all the other organizations dealing with humanitarian need to coordinate and to talk to development organizations like UNDP, UNESCO, and the others. And that took at least 1 year. Correct me if I'm wrong, UNICEF and UNHCR. It took a long time to do this. Why? Because we have some challenges. Though we would like to do that integration, the process is very complex. What about, for example, donors? How are they going to allocate money for these kind of programs that are coming here? Are we talking still about 6 months, or are we talking about 3 years? Because the RRP is meant 3 years. The 3 RPs is 3 years. The humanitarian is normally 1 year. You know, so now OCHA and UNDP was discussing, and until today, by the way, this is only draft, I'm sorry, but until today, they are still working on it, okay? But the humanitarian appeal for 2015, which will be in December, will be for sure 3 RPs. It will not be humanitarian. But if you are interested in this topic, I can give you more information about that. We don't have much time to go in deep. Okay, another question.
شكرا لكن بدأت المحاضرة بنوعية التعليم على مستوى العالم الثالث. احكي بالعربي.
النامية
الدول النامية او العالم الثالث، احنا يعني دخلنا في التعليم للجميع وما نجحنا في مسار التعليم للجميع. و2015 حابين نوصل التعلم للجميع أو التعليم النوعي للجميع في ظل الظروف العادية، وإحنا يعني خلف التعلم المرفه للجميع، الويلفير إديوكيشن فور أول. بعرفش كيف نحاول ننجح في ظل الأزمة نحكي عن النوعية، وإحنا لحد الآن حتى في الظروف العادية ما قدرنا نحقق من الأهداف ال7 أو 8 للتعليم للجميع. صحيح. إلا القليل، ما زلنا أوف تراك في الموضوع.
I think this is a very, very interesting and key question. I suggest that we can illustrate it later, but let me just answer you in 2 words. Now, if a conflict or a disaster is an opportunity to build better, if you do not think of quality from day one, it's like constructing a school or a house. If you do not, the first steps are solid and robust. After 1 year or 2 years, you will have a system that is very fragile and will collapse. And that's exactly with education. Even if it's an emergency, we need to think of quality. We need to think of what we are going to give to our children in terms of curriculum. We need to think of what kind of teacher training we are giving. We need to think of governance. Education emergency is not only teachers and curriculum. It's governance, it's planning and policies, it's environment. All these aspects, we need to think of them if we are to be called professionals. Now, if we are bricoleurs, that's something else. If we are like, but we are accountable. We need to think, and we need to help ministries of education to think this way. If you invest today in a very solid quality education response, you will have the result on a long term. And that is why this scheme is very relevant. But it's sure that we can discuss it a little bit later, more in details. Now, I would like to share with you the UNRWA's education in emergency experience. So as you know, all of you, that UNRWA is one of the biggest, UNRWA has one of the biggest education programs in the Middle East. All these figures can tell you the reality of what is the reality of education in UNRWA. Now, in 2 words, UNRWA, when you are to think of UNRWA, you are to think a little bit out of the box. Why? Because UNRWA is at the same time like a Ministry of Education, like a UN agency, and to some extent like NGO, because we are dealing with upstream things, with middle stream, and with downstream things. And this is very, very important, because other organizations do not have that experience. And that is why it is, I salute from here MENIT to invite UNRWA to present their experience, because it is very, very valid. Now, UNRWA in the 2011, and in order to give a quality education to the Palestinian children, they have launched a program of reform. That program is based on 3 pillars. By the way, my colleagues from UNRWA will look at me weirdly now because I am trying to resume the reform in this. I am so sorry. But anyway, it is a legislative, it is a policy issue, it is a capacity development issue, and it is a capacity building issue. So the reform, it is an ambitious dynamic that's trying to scale up the quality of education to match the 21st century aim for the Palestinian population. So UNRWA has, as I told you, UNRWA has created that, or has launched that reform. But at the same time, UNRWA has, as I told you, some strong blocks that the whole education system is based on, mainly on an approach that is built on education reform, that is built on expertise of the field, across field and HQ, a process across programs, and inter-agency collaboration. What does it mean that? It means that UNRWA has a unique position in emergency and development to deal with education. 2 things. One is the intersectorality of the response. What does that mean? Intersectorality of the process means that UNRWA is looking at access to education, teacher training, policy reform, curriculum development, and so on and so on and so on. So this is like the sector-wide approach. We do not only focus on primary, we focus also, we have TVET programs, we have value programs, human rights programs, and of course education in emergency. So this will give you a pretty idea about the program of education program and the reform and the approach of emergency. So now, with regard to the response of education emergency that UNRWA has conducted, it is a comprehensive approach, and I will tell you how. It is an apprehensive approach. First, we have started, or we have developed an approach that is 3 phases. I got a question from Laura telling me, how are you going to deal, for example, with curriculum when you have a teacher who has a trauma, or a student who has a trauma? As a matter of fact, UNRWA has developed a 3-phase approach, starting the first after crisis, for example, in Gaza recently, or in Syria, we have also applied that. The first period is for psychosocial, because you cannot deal with education without really healing and without really supporting the teachers and the students and the communities. Now, this is one. The second phase is like you bring psychosocial support and learning, but it's a kind of light learning. Right, Samir? Right learning. And then the third phase is like when you link these first and second to the normal schooling, or the normal learning. Now, the education in emergency response program in UNRWA is based on some items or components that are psychosocial support, integrated self-learning program that we are going to talk about tomorrow, education safety and security, safe teaching and learning spaces. I think our colleague Raghda will also talk about teacher tomorrow. Education school supplies and capacity development, mainly INE, educational emergency, disaster risk reduction, and so on and so on. Now, with regard to, because I have been asked by MENIT to go a little bit deeper in psychosocial. Now, with regard to the psychosocial, the UNRWA approach is based on 3 main, let's say, concepts. It's protective, coping mechanisms, and emotional resilience. Because though we agree that the mental part of this, the psychosocial support is important, we believe that psychosocial support should be more a kind of culture, art, sport, kind of resilience-based approach. Because at the end of the day, we would like have children that are coping with the trauma, but also developing their skills on the long term. That's why our project in psychosocial support has also phases from short-term response to more long-term response. Because on the reform, we have one pillar which is inclusive education. And as you know, psychosocial support is a major part of inclusive education. So this is like the strategy that we have been dealing with while we were responding to the psychosocial support, ranging from recruitment to train psychosocial supporters, to build communities, to provide necessary support, to support parents, and so on and so on. So it is a comprehensive approach. As you can see, so it is not only hit and run, but we are trying to give a comprehensive approach that makes sense and align with our reform strategy. Now, I would like to open the door for discussion and dialogue. So the floor is yours. Thank you. It's okay. This is yours? Yes. And then you will not lose it.
هل هناك أي أسئلة لسيد جابرييل؟ أوكي، تفضل.
سؤالي هو: هل باعتقادك الشرق الأوسط قبل مرور الربيع العربي ما كان في حالة طوارئ؟ ليش احنا عم نحكي عن حالة طوارئ في التعليم حاليا؟ ليش احنا عم نستنى لما بصير في البلد نزاعات أو بصير عندنا حرب بنشتغل على استجابة في التعليم؟ هل باعتقادك الأردن في حالة طوارئ حاليا؟ نشوف انه ما عم في عنا، بحيث انه حتى لو في عنا سوريين، انا برايي انه منظومه التعليم في الاردن هي بحاله طوارئ، والدليل تصريح وزير التربيه والتعليم بانه نسبه الاشخاص الذين لا يجدون القراءه والكتابه في مرحله الثانوي هم يتجاوز 600 شخص من الشباب. احنا الان بنعيش في حاله طوارئ. سؤالي: وين دور الاونوروا الموجوده في كل العالم واللي بتدعم المؤسسات والمنظمات؟ ليش مش عم تشتغل على تدريب اللي هم الفئات اللي ما بصير فيه عندهم حروب ولا لا؟ شكرا.
شكرا جزيلا. هو قبل الربيع العربي كانت هناك حالات طوارئ وما طوارئ، والدليل على ذلك أن جميع الدول أولا كانت يعني كانت حالة الطوارئ يعني بنسب مختلفة، من خلينا نقول من موريتانيا حتى البحرين، يعني بنسب مختلفة. مثلا فيه مثلا ما يعرف بالهشاشة the fragility in education systems، هذه حالة. فيه مثلا حالة ثانية اللي هي مسألة disaster risk reductions. فيه مثلا حالة نزاعات مثلا في السودان، في اليمن إلى غير ذلك. فيه حالة كذلك غياب جودة التعليم. والربيع العربي على فكرة من بين المسائل اللي خلقت شو اسمه الربيع العربي هي غياب سياسة. أولا غياب سياسة لسياسة شباب، وغياب سياسة جودة التعليم. بمعنى آخر أن الشاب وهو في الجامعة يعني أو وزارة التعليم ووزارة الشغل ما كان عندهم تنسيق مثلا، وأن الشاب مثلا بعد تخرجه من الجامعة أن skills and the knowledge is not adapted to the market. So يعني هناك في العالم العربي كانت فيها عدة حالات. لكن الإشكالية هي أن إشكالية أولا يعني سياسات، على اعتبار أن ما كانت فيه سياسات مثلا تؤهل الطفل أو الشاب إلى الولوج للمجتمع ككل والمجتمع. لأن خلينا نكون صرحاء، يعني على وزارات التعليم أن تطرح السؤال التالي: ماذا نريد أن نحصل من التعليم؟ هذا السؤال. يعني شوف، جميع الوزارات في العالم تطرح هذا السؤال: ماذا نريد أن نحصل من التعليم؟ لأن الجواب هو لب استراتيجية. لو كنا احنا حابين مثلا أناس يشتغلوا يخرجوا من الجامعة ويشتغلوا، خاصك تحط استراتيجيات. لو انت حاب مثلا تخلق شاب أو مجتمع صالح مبني على القدرات، مبني على الفاليوز، هيومن رايتس، مبني على التسامح، خاصك تاخذ استراتيجيات. ولهذا انا متفق معك بان كانت غياب يعني سياسات في هذا الاتجاه. واتمنى ان بعد الازمه يكون فيه تفكير جدي حتى نطبق مفهوم to rebuild better. شكرا.
Thank you Mr. Gabriel. دكتور أيمن مراد عنده سؤال أو مداخلة. تفضل دكتور.
الأونروا هي بالعربي وكالة الأمم المتحدة لإغاثة وتشغيل اللاجئين الفلسطينيين في الشرق الأدنى. فإحنا مش موجودين في كل العالم، إحنا موجودين في الأردن وسوريا ولبنان وفلسطين، لنا مكتبين في الضفة الغربية وغزة. والأونروا بس بتقدم خدمات للاجئين الفلسطينيين. احنا الدونرز، دول المانحة، بتعطينا فلوس بس عشان نعلم اللاجئين الفلسطينيين. احنا حتى لما بنعلم اللاجئين بنقول عنهم السوريين، هم للأسف الفلسطينيين السوريين اللي مروا بأكثر من أزمة نزوح ولجوء، ثم إلى أزمة النزوح من مخيم اليرموك. الأونروا عمرها حوالي 65 سنة، عاشت مع القضية من أول يوم. وبالتالي احنا حرب ال56، حرب ال67، الحرب الأهلية بلبنان، الانتفاضة الأولى، الانتفاضة الثانية، حرب غزة الأولى، حرب غزة الثانية، الأحداث اللي في سوريا، كلها هي تأثرت على عمل الأونروا. عشان هيك الحمد لله يعني بجهود الموظفين اللي بالأونروا، لأنه احنا راس مالنا بشري فقط. راس مال الأونروا زي الأستاذ وحيد والأستاذ جابرييل وأنا كمان من الأونروا، شكلنا هذه الخبرة 65 سنة إنه نقدم التعليم في حالات الطوارئ، لأنه الأونروا من يوم ما انشأت لهلا وهي بتعيش حالة طوارئ مع اللاجئين الفلسطينيين. وللأسف يعني بقولها الواحد ودمعته قربت تطلع من عينه، إنه حتى الدول اللي مستضيفانا كمان صارت أوضاعها مش أحسن من وضع فلسطين. شكرا.
شكرا دكتور أيمن.
شكرا سي أيمن. صحيح، يعني أنا اسمح لي لقد فرطت في التعريف بالأونروا على اعتبار أن يعني كنت فاهم ربما أن الجميع يعرف أونروا، لكن شكرا جزيلا سي.
شكرا. ناخذ اوكي سؤال سيد سامي، تفضل.
سمير من الأونروا، أنا مدير برنامج التعليم في سوريا في الأونروا. الحقيقة أنا بدي أستكمل اللي قاله أيمن. الآن الأونروا استطاعت حقيقة أن تبني على ما تقدم. يعني كيف؟ في أثناء الانتفاضة الأولى والثانية كانت الأونروا تلعب دور هام في استمرارية التعليم ونوعيته في الضفة والقطاع. في القطاع غزة أيضا في أزمات قطاع غزة، الأزمات اللي مر فيها، استطاعت الأونروا أيضا أن تتعامل مع الوضع، وليس تعاملا يعني تلقائيا، إنما كان هناك في خبرة. إذا الأونروا بنت على خبرة الضفة وتعاملت مع غزة. وبعد هذا الشيء أيضا كان هناك تجربة لبنان في الحرب الأهلية في لبنان. أيضا الفلسطينيين في المخيمات الفلسطينية من شمال لبنان إلى جنوبه تأثروا بهذه الأزمة، واستطاعت الأونروا أيضا أن تبني سيستم خاص للتعامل مع التربية. أنا الآن عم بحكي التربية في أثناء الطوارئ. الآن في سوريا، وأنا كمدير لبرنامج التربية في سوريا بقول بالأونروا، بقول أنه نحن استفدنا من تجربة الأونروا في كل هذه المرات السابقة، وزملائنا ما بيخلوا علينا في تقديم الخبرة، إن كان في الHQ في الرئاسة العامة في عمان أو في الميادين الأخرى. ولذلك استطعنا نحن أيضا أن تكون استجابتنا، ما بتتصوروا قديش استجابتنا كانت سريعة جدا لواقع تلاميذنا الفلسطينيين. فعلى سبيل المثال، ما بدي أطول كتير، نحن في بداية الأزمة طلعنا لقينا فقط عندنا 22,000 طالب بقيوا في مدارسنا من أصل 67,000 في فترة أسبوع زمان. بقينا نشتغل ونعمل استجابة، وكادرنا على الأرض وأثناء الحرب وفي الظروف السيئة جدا والخطيرة جدا أيضا استطاع كادرنا أن يبقي على المدارس تعمل. والآن بطمنكم عندنا 48,000 طالب في مدارسنا الآن. يعني هذا كله الفائدة من انه في عندنا نحن كمان رئاسة عامة الHQ في عمان بنسق كل هذه الخبرات، والآن أصبح عنده أرشيف وثقافة في موضوع الإديوكيشن إن إمرجنسي. شكرا لكم.
شكرا لك أستاذ سمير. بفكر لازم نكتفي نحن بهذا القدر، بعتذر. بنشكر الأستاذ جابرييل الخيلي لأنه بدنا نضلنا ماشيين على البرنامج، ولكن however بنرحب بكل أسئلتكم، استفساراتكم ومشاركاتكم عبر تويتر اللي رح تضل تعرض. وكمان بكرة أستاذ جابرييل الخيلي رح يكون موجود معنا بالبارلل سيشنز اللي بدها تكون بين 10 ل 11:30 عشان يحكي على تطوير المناهج في حالات الطوارئ. فإذا بتحبوا تتواصلوا تستفيدوا كمان من خبرة أستاذ جابرييل، رح يضل موجود معنا هو اليوم وبكرة. بشكر تواصلكم، بس لأنه لازم ننتقل للفقرة البعد. شكرا أستاذ جابرييل. ثانك يو. هلا نحن شوي يمكن تعبناكم، بدنا نعطيكم هالاكسرسايز. بدنا نرحب بنورهان أمين من سوريا. نورهان في عندها هيك تمرين كتير حلو، اتس ان انرجايزر، لأنه كلنا بحاجة هلا نرجع نتنشط، لأنه بدنا نشوف كمان شوي مبادرات ونشاطات في مجال الدعم النفسي والاجتماعي للطلاب في حالات الطوارئ. خلينا نقول أهلا وسهلا لنورهان أمين من سوريا. تفضلي نورهان. بدك اياه، بدك تنزلي، يلا تعي عنه. يلا خلينا نتابع مع نورهان. شغال ان شاء الله متواصلين للعشاء. هلو.
مرحبا للجميع. أنا بعرف إنه بعد الغداء الواحد بيبقى شوي هيك متكسلن وهي معلش اطلب من الكل، كل حدا هيك يشرب نقطتين مي بس، يعني بنكون هيك بس لحتى نصحصح شوي. هلا الحقيقة هو التمرين كتير صغير، بس عن جد يعني خلونا كلنا نعمله سوا بس لحتى نشوف النتائج. تمام؟ ممكن كلياتنا ناخد نفس عميق. ايوه، ومنغمض عيوننا. ماشي؟ كلياتنا معلش نغمض عيوننا. أنا حقلكم جملة بس كلياتنا ونحن مغمضين عيوننا. خلونا نفكر نتخيل، ما نتخيل مع بعضنا. يعني بدي أطلب منكم ما تتخيلوا فيل لونه وردي وحاطط بابيونة حمراء ومعه شمسية زرقاء عم بيطير. أستاذ سمير غمض وتخيل معاهم. لا تتخيلوا، أنا عم أطلب منكم لا تتخيلوا. والفيل لونه وردي، الفيل لونه وردي والبابيونة حمراء ومعه شمسية زرقاء عم بيطير. نفتح عيوننا مع بعض. طيب مين اللي تخيل الفيل الوردي؟ مين؟ برفع الأيدي، الإيدتين لو سمحتوا. في ناس ما تخيلت؟ مين اللي ما تخيل؟ كلياتكم تخيلتوا، انتي بس ما تخيلتي. طيب معلش وقت رفعوا ايديهم كليات الاغلبيه كانوا عم يتخيلوا. انا الحقيقه بس بدي اطلب منكم شغله صغيره. ما شاء الله يعني انه مجموعه كبيره من التربويين موجودين هون وقدرانين يتخيلوا فيل وردي واللي هو منه موجود. في فيل بالعالم لونه وردي؟ لا. في حاطط بابيونه او بيطير؟ ايه طيب ماشي، معناتها
بالخيال في
عندنا القدرة انه نتخيل حلول ابداعية للتعليم سواء بحالة الطوارئ او خارج حالة الطوارئ. طالما قدرانين تتخيلوا معناتها بتقدروا تحطوا الافكار والبلانينج وتنفذوا. شكرا لكم.
بدهم حدا زيك يا نورهان. شكرا. اوكي، بتمنى هيك كلنا استعدنا نشاطنا.